In case you were wondering, this is what a peck of garlic looks like. And we have another peck down in our cold cellar. Hi everybody, I'm Judy DiLorenzo with A Life Well Planted. And every year my husband grows about 300 heads of garlic. He harvests them in July, so we've been enjoying this crop now for about 4 months. And I thought I should dehydrate some to be used as garlic powder. Any garlic that's left in the early spring will either start to sprout or dry out, and I don't want that to happen. I don't want to waste any of this precious crop, so dehydrating some is the perfect way to preserve the harvest. As you'll see, dehydrating the garlic is a pretty easy process, so let's get started. The first step is to separate the cloves from the bulb and also peel them. I prefer to do this step at the sink. Your hands will get really sticky, so being able to run them under water as needed really helps. I should mention that even though these steps are fairly easy, they do take time, especially if you're doing a large quantity. Each clove of garlic only results in about 1/8 teaspoon of garlic powder. So in order to get any sizable amount of garlic powder, you really do need to dehydrate a lot of garlic. You may have your own method for dicing the cloves. This is how I do it. As you can see, some of the cloves have already started to grow sprouts. This doesn't usually happen until early spring, so good thing I realized it. I'll have to dehydrate more than I initially planned. You can technically dehydrate larger pieces if you want, but it will take longer to dry. I prefer to dice them fairly small. Even still, the garlic will take about 8 hours to dehydrate. Arrange the diced garlic on parchment-lined trays. If you don't line the trays with parchment, the garlic will probably fall through the openings. If your dehydrator has a thermostat, set it for 125 degrees. You want to dry it nice and slow at low heat. You'll be able to tell when it's getting close to being ready. If the middle is at all still soft, then it isn't done. Once ready, pour it into a jar with a tight-fitting lid and do what's called conditioning. It just means to keep it in a spot where you'll remember to check it each day for about a week. And if condensation develops in the jar, or if the garlic sticks together when the jar is rotated like this, well, then it isn't fully dry and it would need to go back into the dehydrator. Once conditioned, it's ready to grind into powder, or you can just store it in a glass jar for future use. Keep it in a cool, dark, dry location such as a pantry. As far as grinding is concerned, I've had luck with 2 methods using either a coffee grinder or a handheld grinder. This coffee grinder I bought just for this purpose. I didn't want to take the chance of having my coffee taste like garlic and vice versa. You don't have to grind it for long. It turns into powder very quickly. You can repurpose an empty spice jar and use it to store the powder. Having a funnel like this with a small opening really helps when filling small jars. Or you can spoon it in. This spice jar I bought new several years ago. I also like using a handheld grinder like this one. It lets you grind as you go along, and you can set the gauge to make the powder finer or coarser. I do have a bullet blender, but I've never used it to grind the garlic into powder. If you have, leave a comment below and let us know what you think. So here's one last tip. If the garlic doesn't grind evenly, you can always sift it. Well, there you have it. That's pretty much everything you need to know about dehydrating garlic, storing it, and grinding it into powder. Thanks so much for watching.